All right, welcome back to day 6 of the Automate Challenge. So last week, days 1 through 5, we did the grunt work. We set up our automation tool, made sure that everything is hooked up and ready to go. On day 1, we created a Google form and a Microsoft so that we could start collecting data, customers, from users, from really anyone. Then we also, on day 2, we showed how you can use Answer AI to chat with a PDF. And in this case, we use the California Voter Guidebook. Then on day 3, we talked about Make and N8N and how we're going to be using those in our sessions. Then we also talked about Microsoft and Google and the different integrations there and how to set up a business application. And then on Friday, we connected all the additional tools and went over things like OpenAI, Anthropic, Airtable, Notion, got everything set up. So now we can actually dive into fun stuff. So this is week 2, so day 6. Everyone to count your days. So today we're going to be talking about automating your email. Where we can actually set up your email. And the goal today is really just highlight some of the benefits of just email automation and just how it can really help with standardizing different things, helping you stay organized, and how to allow you to focus on just more strategic tasks. So we're going to talk about some of the use cases for automating your email, when to automate and when not to automate your emails. And we're going to go through some simple and some advanced AI automation examples using for your email. So what are some use cases for automating your email? Well, one is to just automate repetitive tasks. So for instance, I have a lot of emails that get sent to me for my different SaaS subscriptions. I have different labels and filters that will look at the different subscriptions, take down that attachment for the receipt, and send that off to my QuickBooks or to organize it in my. That's one thing that you can do. You can also set up, organize it a little bit better with folders if you're an Outlook user, which we'll be going over as well. So the other thing is that it can help you if you want to automatically forward high priority client emails to sidekicks for immediate reply, or to have a draft already in inbox ready to go. This can really help speed up your reply process. One of the things that I found in many years is that if you're very quick with replying, it really gives you a leg up, especially if you're services. And then, as I mentioned, you can save, you can label, you can organize, you can analyze all of the different attachments through your. This is really beneficial for helping you to get to inbox zero, how to stay there, how to stay organized, and really doing it in a way so that you're not inundated with all of the different. So what are some use cases where you want to avoid automation? Well, some of those are, well, one, you don't want to automate sensitive information where basically you need a little bit of human oversight. You don't want to be automating your HR mails, for instance. These are not ones that you want to. Also personal, you want to keep it personal, right? Email is still a communication tool for a lot of business, and you want to still leave it open for networking opportunities. You don't want to automate emails to your friends and family. Keep that to yourself and keep that to your own work. This is not really the purpose of this one. It's to really showcase how you can, some of the more repetitive things that you may get out of business. And then, of course, any strategic decision-making emails that need to, have some oversight. You don't want to, have it automatically replying saying, yes, we'll sign that contract for you. No, these are not ones that you want to automate. Once again, you need to review them personally and make sure that you're taking the time to go strategic decisions to your AI. So today we're going to go over 4 different use cases of how you can automate your email. And we're going to start off with some basic automation and work our way up to where you're going to have, if at the end of this, You'll have a AI or an assistant that can automatically have drafts ready to go in your inbox for particular labels. But in order to start that, and the very first thing you need to do to set up your inbox is to learn emails on keywords. So we're going to set up a label within inside of Google and in Microsoft, and we're going to make it so that it'll just label them based off specific information. And this is something you can do without AI, without N8N. This is just something you can do in any email or Outlook. So this is how you set up. Switch over here. All right, so we have inbox 0. Yes, admittedly, this is because it's a brand new account. But how do we keep it that way? Well, in Gmail, what you can do is create what are called labels. So labels over here on the left are essentially just ways for you to organize your email. You can create a new label by just hitting the plus over here on the left and giving it a name. So in this case, I want to say I want to label all my support tickets or support emails. And we don't have any labels yet, but if we wanted to nest them under there, we could. We're going to keep it pretty simple for this example, say support email. I'm going to add a second one that says invoices. And once again, if I had other ones, if I wanted to put this, I could choose that. But for this case, I'm once again just going to keep it. So here I have 2 labels. This is great. What I can do now is I can actually start to organize my email based off of this. So in order to get a few more emails, I'm going to go over to my other mail and I'm going to go ahead and say your invoice for the client work. And I'm going to say, here is your invoice for the work we did on the website. Now, we're going to go here, and for now, I'm just going to hit send. And this should pop up here. So we can see here we have your invoice for the client, same email. Now, how can I make it so that this is automatically tagged with the invoices label? Well, in order for you to do that, you go over here to this here up in the top right where it says settings. And what you can do is you can go into see all settings. And there's a bunch of settings in here. I'm not going to go over all of them for this, but what you see here, you have different labels. So these are labels that are already set up for you. So you have your inbox, and even your inbox is a label. Starred is a label. You can show, you can hide different ones here. You can really customize what this left side toolbar looks like for you. As you can see, I just see these, but if I click on more, I see more labels. And I can click on manage labels and add them from here. We have all of these labels. We have different categories as well. And then we have our labels that we created, invoices and support email. One other nice thing that we have here is we see show if unread. I like to have this one on so that it'll only show that label if I actually have some sort of messages that I need to take action on. That way it's kind of like my to-do list of different emails instead of how many because I'll show you with an AI agent being your triage for your email, your notifications become a lot. So you can say show if unread, or you can just hide this. That's where you go and you manage all of your different labels. Then over here for filters and blocked addresses. So what you can do here is you can create filters. So right here, I don't have any filters. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new filter by clicking on this button. And I'm going to say, these are some different options I can do for the different types. So I can say from, if it was to, if it has the subject. I'm just going to, for this one, say if it has the words invoice. You can make this as granular as you want, but you can say whether it has an attachment, whether it has of a certain size, what it doesn't have. So there's a lot of different pieces here that you can do. And I'm just going to say create filter. So now I'm given a second option. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to skip the inbox and archive it? Do I want to mark it as read? In this case, we want to apply it the label of invoices. So we just click on invoices, and what we can do is we can, and you can also add it to other things. You can have it so it's already marked as read, whatever that is. But we're just going to apply it the label here. I'm going to say create filter. Oh, but before doing that, I'm going to also apply the filter to 3 matching conversations. So if I click on that and hit create filter, what this is going to do is it's also going to any other past emails that we had. So for instance, when we purchased our $5, what was it, on Friday, yesterday, the last one, we got that. So now we have invoices, and now we can see not only do we have the one that I just sent because it had invoice in it, but we also have these as well. So already I'm able to quickly get to the information that I need. And that's how you set up labels and a filter in email. Now let's see how we do it in Outlook. So in Outlook, very similar. So in this one, let's see here. So this is where you get to learn with me. I am a Gmail user. I am going here. So for Microsoft, there's folders in Microsoft. So we want to create, instead of labels, we just have folders. So over here on the left, when you're over on the top, you can just click on folders and create new folders. So in this case, I'm going to say same thing, invoice, and I'm just going to create that one folder. Now, where do I go to create the rule? Well, over here on the left, where there's a little gear button at the top right, you can open this and you have lots of different settings. So one of which is the rules. So we can go in here and we can create rules to tell Outlook how to handle incoming email messages. And I'm just going to create a new work. I'm going to say new invoices, and I'm going to add a condition. I'm just going to say with the same thing that where the subject includes invoice. And I'm going to add an action. I'm going to go here and I'm going to move it to a different folder, invoice. So when we set it up, it's a little in Microsoft, you give it a rule name, what the conditions are, add the action. In this case, we're going to move it to the invoice folder. And we can also say, do we want to run the rule now? That will make sure that it will update all of the other ones that have been there. All right, so we can save this. Now we have a rule. So now when I get an email, so if I forward this back to digital@scale@hotmail, give it a second to come in. There it is. We now see that this has been tagged and labeled as invoice. And that's how you set up a folder and a rule set for organizing your email in. All right, so now that we have our labels for the different keywords, now we want to do something with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to auto-save our attachments to our cloud storage. So in some of these tools, I haven't really dug, they have the ability to automatically save it, maybe to a particular folder. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to set up a scenario and an automation in N8N to say that, hey, anything that comes through with an attachment that's in the invoices folder, I want to store in a folder on my Google Drive or in my or as a document in my SharePoint in Microsoft. So we'll learn how to do all that together. So that's what we're going to do next is auto-saving attachments to cloud storage. And the reason you'd want to do this is because, it's not just about saving it to the folder, but you can then summarize the information, you can organize the information, you can tag and label it. There's a lot more that you can do to help keep them organized and to really give you summaries of what's coming through. All right, so for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new workflow, and we're going to start off in N8N. and we're going to use N8N and Gmail. I won't be able to do all the different combinations in this live streams, but I'll try to get to different combinations. But for the most part, these all have very similar with make and N8N, and I'll try to do my best about showing where the differences are, and especially between the two different systems with Google and Microsoft. So if we go in here and we add a new workflow, we're going to call this one day 6 email storage or organizing. Sure. So what's the first step here? Well, the first step is we're going to want to get all of the emails that have the label of invoice. I'm actually going to, so this is invoice organizing. So we're going to go here and add the first step. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to have this run on a schedule because we really don't need this to happen all the time. You can really set up your own schedule. In this case, I'm going to say this is going to run once a day and trigger at midnight. So we'll go ahead, test the step. Yay, got triggered. So we're going to go here and we're going to pull in this scheduled trigger. Now, in order to test this workflow, we can always just come down here and click test and it'll automatically run. You don't have to wait till midnight to test it. You can also just click this play button in N8N and it will automatically run it as well. But what do we want to do at that time? Well, we want to go into and we want to grab all of your emails that have that label. So let's go ahead and add that. And we're going to type in Gmail here. And we're given a lot of different options here. So as you can see here, we can add labels to messages, which we'll see that later. We'll delete a message, get messages. In this case, there's a bunch of things in here. What we're going to want to do is get many messages. So I'm just going to click on this for get many messages. And what this does is it gives you the ability to then query all of your Gmails. So, search for all of your different Gmails and messages, or you can get stuff like a label, and get your drafts, and you can get specific threads, which I'll go over what the difference between a message and a thread is here in just a minute. It'll be important to understand that piece. So we have our message. We have, and in this case, if we just say get the label and we get the many, what we're going to get here, because you'd say, oh, I just want to get the label, right? Well, that's actually just going to give you just the labels. As you can see here, it's giving you the IDs of them, messages, like it's visible, list visibility, label list visibility, so what are the settings, and then the type of it is. And I think if we go down here, we see this is our ID. This is important because when you're getting messages, you don't want, so if I come in and I just want to just name, say I don't want to call it invoices, I want to call it receipts, I don't want to have to change my auto, right? So we need to get this information here for the invoices label. So there's a couple different ways we could do this. If we were making a really sophisticated and production ready one, I would probably have some logic in here that would get all of the invoices, or I would get these and then do it. But for this case, I'm just going to hard code it, or in that case, just copy this this value here and go over and I'm going to get a message actually. What I'm going to do, not send, get many. So I'm going to choose message and get many. So here I can add a filter and I can say label names or IDs. Now, like I said, you can choose, and we do have a drop down here, but it doesn't look like it actually, oh, here it is. So if I choose this with invoices, I will just be able, I can just choose it and it'll be fine. But if I was using this in an actual automation that was all of the labels, because you'd have multiple labels, you would want to use the ID if you're, I'll go over that here in a minute, but just know that you can just choose invoices. So now if I test this step, this should return all the messages that have this label in it. So we have 4 items, but wait, Why do we have 4 items? Aren't there only 3 emails in here? That's the difference between a thread and in a message. So this is an important distinction to understand, because essentially what you have here is you have 1, 2, and then this message right here has 2 messages. So within inside of this thread. So and you can see that in this. So the message has its own ID, but yet this thread is exactly the same. So if you wanted to get a thread and just get all of the messages in that thread, let's say you have been on these threads where there's like, give me the summary, that's where you can use the thread ID. But in this case, what we want to do is we're going to use the message. And so now what we have here is at midnight, it will get all of our messages that are labeled. Great, I have that working. But now what do I want to do with it? We have our trigger. Now we have our what data we're going to use. Now we're going to first check to see if it has an attachment in it. And we can do this by just saying if. And this is a pretty if else statement. You can come in here and you can essentially just go and you can say if sort of value is equal to another value, do this. Then you can add another condition, or you can say and or. So in this case, what we're going to be doing here is looking for attachments. Let's see here. Mixed. There we go. All right. So you'd have to read the documentation, but what I did here is I know that this in my testing has invoices attached to it. So when I'm looking at this, we see multi-part. So this payload section right here. Then we have this multi-part mixed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say if payload, all right. So what we did here is we tested it. So I'm trying to see, okay, payload is equal to multi-part mixed. I think it might be meme type. See here. All right, here we go. Yep. So as you can see here, this is now resulting in here. So what I was doing wrong was this. So basically we're saying if the value of this, you can just drag that in here, is equal to multi-part / mix. So we should get 3 false and 1 true. 1 true, 3 false. So that's how we can check to see if, well, right now, if it has an attachment associated with it. So now that we have this 1, now what do we do with it? So here, if it's true, we hit the little plus. We have a little false. If it's not, if it's false, we don't want to do anything. Just, nothing. But if it's true, what we want to do is we want to add another Gmail one. And this time we're going to get a message. Where is it here? Get a message. And we're going to have our Gmail account that we have here. If you haven't set up your Gmail account, go to day 3 and 4. I think we actually did it on day 1, to tell you the truth, for that. Now, we're going to take this message ID and we're going to use this. So all we have to do is just drag the ID over. And this is just a little toggle over here for you to be able to switch between them in Aiden. So in the schema, now we go here. So now we have this. Now we're going to grab this test step. Okay. So here we have these items. We have there's this simplify button. So if you just need some simple items from it, workflow is already working. Let's stop this workflow. Come on. All right. It looks like it's stuck there. Let me see if I resave this, reshare. Oh no. So word to the wise, always hit save. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set this up really quick. I'll show you what we're doing here. So we're going to not do on form submission. We're going to on a trigger, no, that one. Going to get the email. I'm going to say get many messages, get many. Here we're going to have the filter, label names and IDs. In this case, we just want the invoices. Test this step. We have our 4 items. Now we're going to say if it has that meme type. So if it has an attachment, we just go in and we do the if module. So just type if over here. And with this value, let's see here, meme type equal to mixed. So to remind you where I got that information was when you test this step. You can see that the ones that have here, you can kind of see, oh, here we go. You can see right here, it's meme type multi-part mixed. We know that because this is the only one in this that has attachment. So now we have this if, and we test this step, and we have 1 true, meaning 1 has an attachment, and 3 false, meaning they don't have an attachment. Now I'm going to hit save so that we don't lose it again. And I'm going to now use the Gmail to get the information about it. So in this case, label draft thread, get a message, and we're going to use the message ID. And if I test this step, I'm now given all of this information. Now, if you just want the just basic information, you can just say simplify, and we can go here and we can add an option for download attachment, and we're going to say yes. So what this is going to do is it's actually going to give us the attachments that are associated with it. Now when I test this, I now have these 2 PDFs. Now that we have this, we can now continue to our next step, which is storing them in our Google Drive. Here, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to save this. Save this first. And we're going to go over to credentials. Nope. We have not set up our Google Drive credentials. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up real quick so that you know how to do that again. But we said this will be a nice little refresher. So to do that, well, one of the nice things that I like about N8N is that we're going to go here and we're going to add a drive. So Google Drive OAuth to API. We just click on this, hit continue, and right here it asks us for these 2 different things. So if you remember from episode 1, we set this up. They're going to be the same information that we had before. So what I'm going to do to get this information, and one of the nice things is it does have this here, but you also have this link right here that takes you to the different generic, or to the different settings. So in order to enable this, we need to go to our console here. So we go to cloud.google.com. And this is the project that we set up on day 1. So there's a couple things that we have to do in order to make this work. So if we remember, where is our application? Where is it? Access services here. So we're going to go ahead. So we go to the API library and we're going to search for Drive. I don't know why this is, and hit enter. So we have Drive Labels API, Google Drive API, and Google Drive Activity API. These are all different ones. So for instance, the activity will manage like when things happen on your Google Drive. So that's a different API than actually working with the resources themselves, like your documents, your spreadsheet, and tools like that. And then they do have a label, so like your taxonomies and stuff like that. We'll go over using this API a little bit later this week on how to keep your Google Drive nice and organized. And then, but for this case, we're just going to choose Google Drive API. And all we have to do is click on this and click on Enable. And what this is going to do is it's going to enable the client that we set up to use this. So if you remember, we created this one, which has our client ID, and this, I use the same one. I could probably actually, let me just move this over here in case it, 1 second. All right, let me just go here and grab this information. All right, so if you remember from when we did it last, when we go in here, we added these redirect URIs. So we already have this. So that's that first field, this oauth.n8n.cloud. If you do not have this in here, you need to add it before you can use that. So, and go in here. Right. Re-rolling these secrets real quick and using the new ones so that no. Then once I have these, so just so you can quick go up at the top, when you go into your credentials area, if you click into your credential, there's this client, and then below there'll be your secrets. So put your client ID in here, your secret in here, and then click the sign in with Google. As you can see here, I get a modal and say digital at scale. I get this warning because it says it hasn't verified this app, but only continue if you know the developer that invited you. I'm pretty sure I know myself. So I'm going to hit continue, select all, but always make sure you look at the warning signs of what that is, because you don't want to give someone access to your full drive for, I hope, obvious reasons. Now that we have this Google Drive account set up, now we can use it in our automations. So what we do is we go in here and we add a new workflow. And we're going to go in and, oh, sorry, we're not going to add a new workflow. We're going to go to so now we have this. We're getting the information so we can see where we're at. So we go here, we say test workflow. It's got 4 items. 1 item made it through. We have 1 item that now has 2 attachments that we want to store in our Google Drive. And it doesn't have to be Google Drive. You could store it locally if you were running this locally, which I'll go over a whole piece on that. Or you could, put this into your own other cloud storage, so you're not always dependent on. I like to back up everything of mine on my own independent infrastructure, and kind of one, it saves a lot, and then 2, if I ever want to switch between them, it's not as big of a deal. We want to switch some of these core SaaS solutions for our business. So now that we have the download, I'm going to add a drive. And I'm going to first, well, actually what we're going to do, we could create a folder, but just for the sake of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder in my Google Drive, and I'm just going to go here to drive.google.com, click on new folder, Invoices. And I'm going to create this folder in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the link. So if you right click on this and say share, copy link, what you'll want to do, let me back over, is that we're going to upload a file, and we're going to, so automatically it knows that we have our Google Drive account. It knows that we're uploading a file. The operation is upload, and it's getting data. So this is actually from this information. I don't know if we might need to change the name of that, but we'll see. So how I can then, how to get the attachments. What I want to do is grab the file name. I'm going to see if, let's see, if not, hold on. If not specified, the original file names will be used. Okay, we're just going to leave the original file names. Okay, the parent drive is going to be my drive, and then the parent folder, I can either, choose from the list, which I only have 1 folder, but most people have more than 1 folder. It's not as easy to find that. And that's why I chose the by URL, because if you use the share link, you can just paste the URL in there. But since I only have one, it's easy to select it. I'm going to do that. So now when I hit test step, looks like there's no item for that. So what we're going to, So because this has multiple, we may need, so because this has multiple items, we will need to loop through this to determine which ones. We're not going to get into looping in this exercise, but as you can see here, it has gone and it is upload. So now if we go in and we look at the invoices, boom, I have my invoice here. So now what we can do is I'm going to create a little invoice here of my own. So invoice to set up, got it, thank you, a really awesome automation system. $1 million. Just kidding. Well, unless you're all right, file, and we're going to just say invoice invoice 4242, and we're going to say download PDF. Right. What I'm doing here is I'm just going to now set it up so that I can test it. It's very important that you test your automations from start to scratch. All right, so now that we have this set up, I'm going to use my other email to send it. So digital at scale demo, and I'm going to say your invoice for that awesome automation. And I'm going to set it up. All right, thanks for all the fish. Oh. Hit send too early. Okay, before I was supposed to hit send, I was supposed to do something else, which is I need to turn this on. So we need to listen for this every so often. So what I'm going to do is first stop this. I did save it, so hopefully it didn't. It looks like there's actually a issue with it just turning off. Is there an end? I'm going to stop. Nope, don't want to throw an error. Okay. So what we're going to do here is, well, actually, now it should grab all of them. So let's go ahead and test it. Because when we got that, here it is. We have our new automation. Now, if it's running, if we test this, it's grabbing it, grabbed it. There's one item, and there we go. And we have invoice 4242. Thanks for all the fit. Wait, no, that wasn't it. Wait, interesting. Hit mini. Oh, okay. So okay, it's not multi-part mixed. Interesting. Okay, so we can't key off of that. That's why it actually didn't do it on that. So let's go over here. From to subject. Get rid of this simplify. We can just download them here. This should actually grab all three of them then. It's grabbing it. It ain't in. You're really bugging out today. This is why I like having the local version. All right, let's see here. Get all the messages. Life of an automator, just sitting here waiting for an automation to either fail or to complete. Not sure knowing which it's doing. All right. Did give 5 items. Wow, this thing is like really bugging out. It does not like me getting the audit. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to download. Let's just do this, which, why is this thing? So I'm going to remove this if statement because that, and I'm just going to grab that and I'm going to just this. So it's grabbing all the messages, it's getting it, and then it's uploading the. So we're going to test this. Okay. There we go. Well, that's interesting. It's saying that it can't find that one. Fun thing about automation is that it'll work one time and then it will not. It's still already running again. It keeps getting hung up. Do it live, right? Let's see. Attachment. I'm just curious if technically this one I shouldn't even have to grab. because that does have the ability to download the attachment. All right, let's try this workflow. All right, it's going through one item, 5. Okay. All right. This is where we need the if statement, because basically what's happening with this is it is trying to grab attachment. So even though there's one with an attachment, what it does is it goes through them. We still need to figure out how to filter those. But what I'm not seeing as a part of this is how this doesn't seem to have the information about whether or not it has. Like it does have the, but there's no simple like as attachment. But we do have the binary. So I'm curious if I test if the data exists. So we're going to say if, we're going to add this, and we're going to say if attachment exists. Hey, true. That had 5 that came through as true, which is not interesting. So that returned 2 as well. What happens there? So we have this. Now we're going to remove this. We're going to see if it's true. Move it up to that. Save. Execute. Interesting. It's saying that these all have attachment but one, but they don't. So for now, what I'm going to do is actually update this. This is also where it's good to kind of have path of least resistance. I'm going to update this rule. I'm going to go over here, CL settings, and I'm going to go into filters, edit, and I'm just going to say it has. You can make this so that they won't. So we have the 2 on there. Now if I run the bits, test this workflow. I'm really curious why all of a sudden this stopped working on N8N. Well, that's really interesting too, because this has 5 items even. All right, let's get back to where we were. So we got this. I'm going to leave this, get all messages, get this. We're going to get the message again. That was working. We're going to get a message, get the message ID. All right, we got this going through, and it's still doing that one thing. Well, we were able to get the PDF uploaded. So I'm going to work on doing that one because I want to move on to the next one for today, which is we want to create a summary of daily emails in a single digest. So for instance, I want to know, all the emails that I've received, what's the highlights? What are the details based off what I want to know? This is really helpful for triaging your email, trying to get to know if there's anything that I need to address immediately. And for this, we're going to AI summarize it based off of what emails I've received. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is go in here. I'm going to go back over and I'm going to create a brand new workflow. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to have this trigger. So for instance, if I wanted to wake up and see what a summary of my email was and have that ready and going in my inbox. So for this, I'm just going to trigger it manually. But if we wanted to trigger this on a specific schedule, we can also add that here. So every night at midnight, this is also going. So either when I click the test button or schedule a trigger. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use our Gmail and we're going to get me messages. And with this, what we do is we're going to get messages and we're not going to add any filters and we're just going to test this. What this is going to do is it's going to return all the messages in my inbox. Now, I may not want all of that. Maybe I just want the most recent things. So for instance, here we have a bunch of different messages. I think I have all of the welcome emails from all the things that we signed up for in our first one. So what I want to do is see, well, what's the summary here, of all the different emails. Now, if I wanted to filter this down, say, hey, I only want items that are received after or before, I can go on here and I can say received after, and I'm going to say after the 21st. Now, if you want to make this so that it's after, for instance, the last 7 days or something like that, you'd have to use. But for right now, I'm just going to use fixed just to show that. So if we go here, we hit step, we can see here, and it's going to execute this. And it's grabbing all my emails for this demo account from here. So we now have 5 pages, 50 items. Actually, that's the limit of 50 items we're actually reached. So let's actually put this to 100 items and see how many it gets back. I had over 50 emails on this. So if I go here and all mail, right? Oh, 51. 51 emails. So I want to summarize what happened in this time. So the way I can do that is now what I want to do is create a list. Now, this is where you don't want to just give it the entire email, right? You don't want to give it, maybe you also don't want to just get all. Actually, can you get all the threads? I don't think you can on this. Get many. Here we go. So we have 40 threads and all the different pieces. So one of the things, so what we can do here is we can use this actually, the thread, or we can use the message. Get message, and we're going to get menus. Now, it really depends on your use case. Sometimes you'll want to get the threads because you want to a summary of the stations that are there. Sometimes you want to get all of the messages. But in this case, what I'm going to do is grab all the messages because I want to see when it was done. And I want to see, and I'm going to use not all of this information, but I'm going to use this snippet. I'm going to use the date. I'm going to use the from and what the subject was. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this into. So in order to do that, I can then send to. I can send it to Answer AI. I can send it to anywhere to be able. And I'll show you how to do that here. But before we do that, we need to transform the data. The reason being is that if we want a summary of all of this information, if we actually just sent this to OpenAI, which we do here in a minute, it would run it 50 times. But we don't want that. So we're going to create a very long group, and that's where we use Aggregate. So what we can do here is we can create this into a single item. And we're going to use, where is it? We're going to use the date, and we're going to use the, field to aggregate. We're going to use the date. I'm going to rename this to date of message so that and then we're going to add another field, and we're going to, let's give it the actual subject. We don't need to rename that one. We're going to add another one where we're going to have the to, and let's say the from. Well, I guess we don't need the to. We'll just assume that it's from. But it'd be helpful if this was just to me or to other people. But for the cases of this demo, we're just going to do from. So we have here, it's aggregated the date, the subject, from, and also the snippet. We're going to add another one. We're going to save. Where's the snippet? All right. Now we're going to test this step. As we can see here, it's essentially created this table of all of these different options, right? So it has all the different snippets, all the different subjects, who it was from. It put it into the structured format, which is good for when we want to put this. So we can actually go in here and we can actually say merge lists too, which can get you to merge this all into one. But that's for merging. Yep, that's what we want. Why did that not work? So we now have all of our information. Now what we want to do, and we have one item that we want to aggregate. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use this advanced AI feature, and we're going to choose a basic LLM chain. So with this, what we can do is we can take the prompt from the data previous, or we can define below. We actually want to define this, because what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple prompt that says, here are my emails for the week. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to drag these all over. Now, we're not going to get into data cleanup because that's where you can really start fine tuning these. I'm just kind of going to show you the basics of just dragging these in here. So basically, here are the emails for my week. And I'm just going to say emails. I always like to use something in my prompts to separate out all of the different pieces. So in this case, I'm going to do emails. And here are my emails for the week. Great. Now I want you to, now this is where you can give it some instructions. Highlight important ones and summarize the spam. Highlight the important ones and summarize the spam. So here, now we have a basic prompt. But before we can start using this, one thing we need to set up with this is when we added this, it kind of automatically added this chat. Go ahead and delete the chat, but I don't know why. There we go. I need to add an AI model. And on Friday, we went in and we added OpenAI. So as you can see, my OpenAI account is here, and I'm going to choose, for this, I'm just going to choose 4.0 Mini just because it's the cheapest. And I highly recommend using 4.0 Mini for all your testing. As of this taping, October 28th, 2024, it may be cheaper tomorrow. But as of right now, this is the cheapest one, especially for just testing. When you're putting them into production, you probably want to do a little bit more. So we save this, we've got this. So now it's going to grab all my emails from the last week, aggregate it into one, and it's going to send it to this prompt and give me a response. So what we do is test it. So it's going there. It should be grabbing all of the emails. Then it should aggregate these into one string that we can then, or one group of text. So now it's sending it to OpenAI. And let's see if it performed its magic. All right, so now we open this up to see what it came. Great, so we have this text. We have invoices. So this is done what's in cold Markdown. And you'll see whenever you see text like this, it didn't air out. There's not a bunch of errors on this. What this is it's a special type of text that is used a lot in AI responses because it's a structured format for content. I'm not going to go into the details of what this is, but this has now created a nice little notification. But now, what if I want to use this as what if I want to get this information to me? Well, that's where we can then email this to me. So you get an email about your summary of your email. And what we're going to do is we're going to add Gmail and we're going to say send a message. And for instance, this would be another thing, what you actually want to do with it on day 10. We're going to show you how you your assistant, just ask it and it'll tell you for a specific date range. So stay tuned for that one. In this case, just for this demo, we're just going to send it back to ourselves just so that we can see it worked. So we're going to say digital@scaledemo@gmail.com. Say your daily email summary. And we want it to do HTML, and we're going to go ahead and put this. Now it's going to have this markdown in it, and I'll show you how I believe we can get it, but I'm not going to get too hung up on that. Now, if we test that step, we could go to our inbox, your daily invoice. So we now see this as this. How do we clean this up? Well, that's where we go over into our chain. We're going to add a little transformation here, and we're going to say HTML. I believe that there is a markdown to HTML. Maybe not. Work with HTML. Generate an HTML. I don't know if there's actually a way in here. I'm going to have to research this because the way that I use it is I have my chief sidekick and Answer AI be able to answer this information But right now you now have a email that summary that, like I said, you can send this to lots of different areas. Back on that. So we've seen how we can create an automation to grab all your emails and get a summary delivered to me. In the future, you could have it delivered to Slack. Sidekick asks for it, but this is really helpful in doing email triage. So we'll save this one. 6 email summary. All right, now the last one we're doing today is one that really has saved me a bunch of time, and that is create a draft email reply for specific labels. So if something comes in with a specific label, how do I create a reply that is in my drafts folder that is ready to go? And throughout the course of this, we're going to show you how to really optimize these prompts so they're not cookie cutters, so that they sound like your past emails. And so this is really good for setting up labels. There's certain things to look for in emails for particular keywords, or maybe have AI summarize it. That can get kind of expensive. I wouldn't recommend doing that for all of your emails, but unless you're running it locally, of course. But this allows you to generate and kind of be on third base, quickly get on with important things. Now, how do you do that? We're going to go here, add a new workflow. This is draft email reply by table. All right, so we now have this one. All right, so we're going to add our first step. So the very first step, that we want to get all of the messages that have been created for this particular label. And in this case, we're going to use the label of support email. Someone creates a support, hey, what's going on with this product? It has a bug in it. Then you can have a email automatically in your folder. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to go in here and we're going to add a trigger manual so that we can use that for testing. But then I'm also going to add another trigger, and I'm just going to say that this is on a schedule. These don't have to be immediate, and it's quicker the better. But if you're wanting more real-time communication, we'll be hooking this into Slack and Teams and WhatsApp. But really, email is more so on a schedule is fine. And we're just going to say, hey, this needs to run, let's say every hour, right? So we're going to make this one run hour. So what happens? Well, we need to grab all of the emails from port labels. So we'll do that. And so we're going to choose Gmail over here. And we're going to say get many messages, just like we did in the last ones. And we're going to grab this resource message, get many. And we're going to filter this. And we're going to say by the label names or IDs. And in this case, we're going to choose the support email one. Now, when I test this, I don't have any emails yet. So let's submit a support ticket. So we're going to say digital scale demo, and we're going to say your app is broken, foo. All right. I tried to save a chat flow, but it cleared all my work out. I lost everything. Can I get it back? So here is a support ticket that the subject to I tried to save the chat flow, but it cleared all my work out. I lost everything. Can I get it back? Concerned. Let's stand. All right. So I'm going to send this over here, and I'm going to hit send. Now this is going to put this in here. Now I haven't set up an automation for a support email. Ideally, this would be, for instance, if anything gets sent to support@yourcompany.com, or perhaps if you are a single person or a single operation, you just have the one email, setting up your own items or setting up your own aliases. I haven't gone over, but for support as well. But in this case, what I'm going to do is just so the other reason is that you can actually label it from a few different ways. You can either just simply just drag it, so just click on it and drag it over to support, and that's one way. The other ways are up here at the top. You have this move to, and you can choose different labels and manage labels and stuff like that as well. So I tried to save a chat flow, but it cleared out all my work. Oh, this looks like a really tough customer support ticket. So what I want to do is, now that I have this, let's go ahead and test this workflow again. Now I have the one item. So we have the one item of this. Your app is broken. I tried to save the chat flow, but it was there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to first not simplify this, because we want the full message, right? We want everything in all of theirs, the HTML, the full text. Here it gives us the full HTML, the full text. In this case, we just want the text of it. Even though this is a small email, the snippet, this isn't returned. So we want to basically do this, the dates, and the subject. What we're going to do here is, now that we have that information, we're going to reply. And we do that by saying advanced AI. And we're going to basic LLM chain. And once again, we're going to go in here. We're going to define this because I actually want to create a prompt. And I'm going to do this. So here I'm going to say the following is a customer support email. I'm going to say email, and I'm going to take in this information. So in this case, what I want are the from. And here I can actually do like from, give it a little bit more context, subject, and then also to, I want to give it the actual text, which is down here. Please create an appropriate response based on the support request and its sense of urgency. So in so in days 31 through 35, I'll talk about how you can actually route these based off of like sentiment analysis, whether it be tickets, emails, whatever. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to just have it create an appropriate response based on the user's support requests and its sense of urgency. We're not going to get into the full prompt engineering of this one because this is already a video, but we're going to just have it create a basic draft for us. So we go here, and if we now go here, we need to add our model. So we're going to use, in this case, we're going to use Anthropic, mainly because I honestly, I like it a little bit better than OpenAI creating like email responses and things like that. Uses delve a little bit less in some of those like AI tropes that we hear all the time. All right, so we have this. It's created this. I'm going to delete this. We don't need the chat because this is an automation here. If you wanted to create a chat, you could. But we just have this. It's going to go through here, summarize it, or create a response through Anthropic. So we're going to stop here. We're going to first save it. All right. So now we have the basic LLM chain. Test this. Grabs the one. It's now sending it to Anthropic. And we now have this. So let's see what. Here's a suggested response to the customer support request. App is broken. Urgent assistant. Dear Stan, thank you for contacting us regarding the issue experienced with our app. I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience and frustration caused by losing your work. I'd understand how important your chat flow is, and we take this matter very seriously. I'd like to assist you immediately in trying to recover your lost work. Here are a few steps we can take. And important note, it then started to hallucinate some instructions. We didn't give it. It has no idea what app it's even the support of. We didn't tell it. We didn't give it access to information. We're going to learn that in some future lessons. But just be very careful. And why I always say, make it a draft email. Don't send these automatically, especially something like that. So, but this kind of helps you to really craft a very thoughtful response to this. Obviously, if someone was experiencing this, it would be frustrating. So coming to add empathy and making sure that these are standardized. If you have an organization, as you grow and you have more support people, you want to make sure that there's some sort of standard. Hey, show empathy, show urgency, show these things so that you can actually do what's best for your customer. So in this case, we now have this, and what we're going to do now is we are going to now save this as a draft in our. So how do we do that? Well, we go into our Gmail node again, and we come down here and we say create a draft. So here, credential to connect with is the Gmail account. The resource is the draft. We're going to create one, and we're going to give it the subject. So in this one, so let's see. We want to do this. We want to say send reply, or sorry, we do want to do this thread ID. So we obviously want it sent back to it. Now, if you were just creating a draft email, maybe you were preparing a bunch that you're going to send out later, then you might want to do just a new one. But in this case, we actually want it to return to this thread. So I'm actually going to drag that over here first. So that way it replies to this thread. And in this case, the subject is going to be, I don't know if we leave it blank. Nope, it's required. So we're just going to use the same subject. And for the email type, we're going to say text for this now. And we're just going to then take the text from this. Now, if you notice here, it says, here's a suggested response to the customer support request. All this stuff, you can prompt that out of there to just be like, hey, just give me the response. Don't give me things like that. Or you could, since these are drafts, put in there like, this is my reasoning for doing this. This is what I would suggest looking at. A good example of this is you can also create resources for your support that's based off of all the information that can help them. Here's some link to some help articles. These are all things that you can add to this, and you'll learn, especially in the customer support week, how to actually create those as well. All right, so now that we have that, let's test this step. So actually, I'm just going to go ahead and run this whole thing itself. So go here, creating it. All right, let's see what happened here. Let's go into this. So it says that it created a draft. So I should be able to go in here and go into my drafts, and look at that. Here's the suggested response to the customer support request. Subject, your ACA's report. Thank you, Stan. So now, as this, all I have to do is come in here. I don't know why the recipient is done. Oh, probably because I am the recipient. Can't reply to myself. Normally, you wouldn't be sending these messages back to yourself. But as you can see here, it created a nice text email draft. I can come in here. I can remove. In the meantime, could you provide this? Oh, so this one didn't hallucinate and give us. So that's why having a draft. But this is where you can actually give it templates and say, hey, this is a good one. So for instance, you could go in here and say, hey, this is a great template. Use this as an urgent one, or make sure you always get the right information. So those are 4 amazing automations you learned today, from labeling your emails by keywords, by how to organize them with folders or labels, depending on if you're using Outlook or Gmail. Then with Gmail and with Gmail and N8N, we auto-saved attachments to our cloud storage based off of different conditions. We also created a workflow that will summarize all your daily emails into a single digest. And as we just created a email that will automatically draft replies for you so that you can triage your email a lot. So by taking some of these just tasks off your plate, it helps you to be more organized, more standardized, and really spend more time doing more productive things and more exciting than email. If you love email, great. Don't automate this to your email. But this is the thing. You can automate the things that you don't like to really do a lot of. That way you can spend a lot more. So day 6 in the bag. Tomorrow is day 7, where we will be automating your calendars. Now that we've automated your email, what about your calendar? What if you could quickly get a summary of the events that week? What if you could schedule from automations? And what could you do if you could just automatically have automations run when a calendar event? Learn all these tomorrow in day 7 of Automate Challenge. So see if there's any questions in the live chat room right now. All right, a couple of questions. So there's one question here about, oh, yes, I did. So I did not go over make.com. So let me just show you that real quick and why I did. And this is why we're going to be doing some things in make, some things in N8N, and sometimes both of them. And the reason being is because with make in particular, so with N8N, you're given, when I click on this Gmail, I'm given a ton of options, like creating a draft, adding a label to a thread, like getting all this information. However, make, when I add a new like Gmail, I have very little. I can copy an email, I can create a draft from in here, and it's a very similar process as well. I can delete, but I don't have nearly the flexibility that I do with N8N. And the other big reason that I highly recommend not doing it in Make, and really the cloud version of N8N, I'm going to show you how to run this locally in week 10. But when you hook this up to your real email, you'll burn through execute really quickly. And also, too, it can be expensive with tokens. So by creating these in N8N, I'm setting everyone up so that when we get to the running locally part, that you can have AI summarizing, analyzing, organizing your email free of cost, because you'll be using a local LLM if you have one of the new Macs or a PC. But this enables you to then really analyze all of your email, even the spam. So that's why. So you could call on that with the make. All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. And please, if you found this content valuable, please share this with your friends, share this with your colleagues, anyone who might be interested in learning how to build a full automation system that works for you and is private. So thank you everyone for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow.